A great big welcome to Billy Davies, Billy. Thank you.
Sam, it's a pleasure. And the chairman said to me, Billy, just forget that result. And lo and behold, 3 weeks later, I get sacked for performance.
West Ham were interested in you as an option to replace Sam in 2014.
And those people, Natalie, from the LMA and the FA should know better.
I dropped him straight away. He didn't take it well.
Rangers may be looking for a new manager this summer.
In my opinion, for Rangers, is Sam Allardyce manager and Billy Davies assistant.
Hi everybody, we're back.
We're back.
We're back. Thank you so much for joining us for No Tippy Tappy Football after our mid-season break, shall we call it, Sam?
Yes, I needed it, just like the players, I needed a mid-season break, you know what I mean? So it was much needed in the warm weather, warm weather training, which I did nearly every day. Not really, but
I think everybody.
Bit of golf, of course.
Yep.
I did it. Derek White, who lives out there, used to play for Middlesbrough and all the clubs in his time. Has been running England versus Scotland for about 13 years as a sponsor. Jabal Ali, pitches are brilliant, golf course. Play golf for a day, shotgun start. Scotland lads won that one, like you mean football. I think.
Could you say that again, Sam? Who won that again?
Scotland won that one. When it came to the football, I think the drink overtook the Scottish lads, and it was about 32 degrees, and they slowly started to jog to a walk, and they got well beat in the end. And I had to admire Gareth Barry. He was there playing away, like you think he probably could still do a job somewhere now. He was up and down, but yeah, it was a great 2 days.
That was in Dubai, obviously.
Dubai, yeah, it was a great 2 days, of course, and Derek, who has to raise a lot of money with his sponsors to put it on. He pays for all the lads to come over. They all stay in Jabal Ali free, and they turn out for 2 days. So lots have been coming for years and years and years. It's my first time, but hopefully I can do it again. It was really, really enjoyable.
Well, you're back, you're tanned, you're refreshed, and you've brought a wonderful guest who we just had a little snippet of the accent.
Yes, I mean we go back quite a way.
We do,
and,
yeah.
Of course, in his spell down here, we cross swords a little bit, and it's a great big welcome, and really looking forward to seeing where he's been, what he's doing, like to Billy Davies. Billy, thank you.
Sam, it's a pleasure.
Coming.
A pleasure, Natalie, a pleasure.
Thank you so
All the way
much
from
for coming
Scotland
on.
as well, by the way. Thank you.
You've travelled down as well, haven't you, for us this morning, bless you?
Yeah, we travelled down in some beautiful weather, and it was a lovely drive, and we're delighted to be here. Absolute pleasure.
We're delighted to have you. I love a Scottish accent on the podcast. So, of course, former Motherwell, Preston, Derby and Forest manager. Your paths have crossed, as you say, quite a lot. We wrote down one particular game we wanted to start with because your paths crossed on the 4th of January 2014. Don't know if that instantly jumps out. Because you were West Ham manager, you were Forest manager. Does either of you recall the score?
What was the date?
The 4th of January 2014. West Ham Forest.
Natalie,
Or was it in the FA Cup?
Natalie, I
FA
think...
Cup?
Yeah, I think it
When
was
we
a
got
game...
thrashed? Is that when we got thrashed? Yeah, I remember that.
It was 5 going on 15, if I remember
I
right.
know. Yeah, go on, Billy.
The only thing, Natalie, I've got to say is on that day, obviously this guy had more important things in the Premier League, and we certainly played a strange formation that day with a 1-4-5-3. We had 13 players on the pitch. You only had 11. That's why we won 5-0, Natalie.
It was 5-0.
Yeah.
Good memories.
I was just the day it come back to me then when you said it was the cup game because at West Ham we used to battle like hell with David Sullivan and about the size of the squad, and I think we battled with most people to tell them what we need in the directors room, in the boardroom, and if you're doing well, believe it or not, I don't know what Billy thinks, it gets harder to buy players because they think you don't need them when you do. So we were suffering a little bit of an injury crisis because it's all the fixtures, and we were playing in the semi-final of the Carling Cup the next week.
Okay.
and so I played a huge amount of under 21s then, I think it was. So I played a lot of under 21s, and it didn't mean a tap when we got to Man City. We got beat about 5 then in that one with the full team out, like you mean. So it was one of the worst weeks, 10 days I had at West Ham in my entire time there, because we got thrashed in the FA Cup, and I remember Keano gives us a bit of stick, like you mean, like he does sometimes.
Welcome back to the podcast, Sam. We thought we'd start on that today.
There we go. That's it.
So, Billy, your last job in football was Forest in 2014. What have you been doing? What have you been doing ever since?
Well, there's been lots going on, Natalie, I can tell you. First of all, I was in a long-standing dispute with the previous owners. After that, in came a pandemic for the world. That obviously changed a lot of people's approach to life and shut us down. After that, Natalie, I faced a very difficult time with my mother taking breast cancer. She then took a minor stroke. She then got a hip replacement. And there was a whole range, Sam, of more important issues in 3 points. And then after those number of years, whatever that was, I decided to build qualifications. I started to do every qualification that you could think of. And I'm not just talking football, I'm talking about, first aid and psychology and mental health and all these other things, disabled football and women's football. And I've got to say, I thoroughly enjoyed the building qualifications, Sam.
Very good.
That was great. And in between that, I've been going to lots of games, north and south of the border. I've been doing trips abroad to club visits. And I've been thoroughly enjoying myself in the last few years.
That sounds amazing. So still watching lots and lots and lots of football.
Yeah, I think it's important to keep watching the football and keep doing what you're doing. And I thoroughly enjoy that,
Are you recommending anybody to any clubs or anything like that with all the football you're watching? Or are you working for some clubs on the basis that you're staying in touch with the game on a regular basis,
No, I think for me, Sam, it's all about keeping up to date, keep evolving, keep learning. I am a big student of the game. I love courses. I love CPD events. I love listening to people in different sports.
Yeah.
I go to games to watch referees. I do lots of mentoring with young coaches and managers all over the country. I do get in touch with a lot of people that are always wanting to talk to you about certain things. So I think as a student of the game, I just love this sport. I love to listen to other people, and I'll continue to do that.
So would you like to get back in?
I've never been more ready to go back in. And I've got to say to you that I'm a football man. Nothing else, but I love football. I love this game. I love dealing with players. I love the challenges of playing against these top managers. And I've got to say, Natalie, I really do love my time on the grass.
You want to tell him the statistics now?
Yes, I've forgotten the statistics,
You've
Sam.
forgotten the
Have you heard about our statistics?
No. He's forgotten the statistics.
So I think I remember them.
Yeah.
Since we started this podcast, Billy, just over 2.5 years ago, we've had somewhere around 26 different guests that have come on and then gone back into work.
Well, I hope you're right.
Within the next few weeks, they've all picked up a job somewhere, like you mean. So
some of them too. Some of them have got sacked and then got another
one. Yeah. So it was amazing on the count that we was having. I didn't realise it was that many, and we kept talking. We always say now, like, I mean, anybody out there wants to come on, you might get the opportunity.
No, I've got to say,
it must be a coincidence. I can't.
No, it's fully us, Sam.
Is it fully us? Well, hopefully we have something to do with it, where somebody looks at it and sees what's happening. But that particular determination to keep educating yourself and doing all the CPDs and all that, so it is, credit to yourself, like you mean.
I think the other thing as well, Natalie, for me, is recognising where your strength is.
Absolutely.
And people often say to me, are you ready to go and become a director of football, a sporting director? I know what my strength is on the training ground. Managing players, organising and making people better, organising teams and trying to make teams as good as they can be, improving players and trying to improve the economics of football clubs. So I know where I fit, and I've got no other interest, Sam, at all at this moment in time to go back into a club and help that club improve their players and improve their team and more importantly, get success and improve their economics.
I mean, your win rate in English football is incredible. 43.5% was your win rate in England. So, in terms of if you were going to go back in, what level would you? I mean, because you said you live in Glasgow, so would the Scottish leagues? Would you be, or would you only want to go in higher?
No, I'm very open-minded, Natalie, to challenges and options of where you go. I've got to say to you that Scotland, England, or abroad, for me, it's about the right project, Sam.
Oh, it is now.
It's about the right project with the right people,
Yes.
the right ambition that are going to support what that ambition is for the club and the fans and everybody else. So, no, for me, it's about project. It's not about whether it's Scotland or England or abroad. I'm prepared to travel anywhere for the right project and help the people make that project successful.
It's all. I mean, when you are speaking to a club now, I've said this before on this podcast. In my experience, as you come to terms with what you know about football, your most important meeting is the people who are employing you. Whatever they tell you, what your budgets are, how much you've got to spend, you know, what are we going to do? What team do you think you need to build? You need to talk to them about the sort of players that we need. And it's far more important than the system you play.
100%. Yeah.
The system you play is winning. You play a winning system with other players you've got available. And if that team continues to win, then that's fine. If you've got money to support that, then not only do you win, but you win. I'm not so sure whether saying more attractively or not. I mean, you know, I'm saying, you know, you see a group of fans where you play three passes, cross it, and the big centre forward comes and headers in. I don't see the fans not cheering and shouting and screaming on what a great goal, like you mean. So that in terms of securing a job and making sure they remember what you've talked about, because you can't get it all in your contract, but you can keep reminding about this is where we're going to go together, and that you look at those people there and say, you know, can you trust them?
Mm.
And particularly a director of football today, that relationship, because he's going to find players. You're not going to have that responsibility as much as we used to have, which is a shame. And if that player doesn't work very well, that director of football will tell his board that it's your fault, and he'll say you're not coaching him right. It's about right.
See, what else is important, Natalie, is that, for example, just before he got the Everton job, I got a contact from Charlie Adam.
Yeah.
And I sent him
He's been on here
He's
before
been
he got that job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I sent Charlie a text just after he lost his job. And I sent him a text message, Sam, just to say to him, look, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Be patient.
Mm.
Go back and educate and learn again. But more importantly, don't jump in. Because it's easy to jump back into the wrong project or the wrong place,
It is.
and then it can kill your career. I understand that you can't always handpick.
No.
I get that. But at the same time, too, I think it's important for these, particularly the younger coaches that are maybe just trying to break into management. I think it's important for these guys to make sure that they're doing all they can to make sure that they get as best a go as they can of making a success of that club. And I think that's, and the other thing, as Sam said, the great thing about the modern sporting director, he's now the new chief exec.
He is.
But he's now more football minded, which I think is better.
The conversation about owners is really interesting and really prevalent at the minute, because obviously the amount of clubs out there that have had bad owners, I think it's fair to say. There's so many clubs that are struggling out there. Billy, I read something about you, that you'd been involved with an investment fund that was looking to buy clubs. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah.
We are currently in partnership with a Swiss investment fund. We've also been contacted, Sam, by A-listers from America in the music and the film industry that want to purchase clubs.
All right.
And over and above that, with our contacts in the music, particularly the music side, we've also had one or two investors, big investors from America, that are now showing great interest in purchasing the club. So
Even more than we've got now, because
Yeah.
you know
They
we're
love it,
over.
don't they?
You know we're about 45%
American.
American across all four divisions.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was lower down than
Oh, it's
Leeds.
lower down. Well, you've got since the guys got Wrexham,
Yeah.
they've gone. The Americans have gone ballistic. Like you mean, they've gone and bought or a share in a lot of clubs, like you mean. So well, the newest one that's doing really well with the money they've spent is Birmingham.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah, of
American.
course.
You know, there's a lot of Richard Bevin sent a list out about where we are with American ownership, like you mean, or part ownership, like you mean. That's at 40%.
Tom Brady walked past me once when Birmingham played City in something, and I was like, what?
Well, Leeds, you know, they've got the 40. Is it the 49ers? Isn't it? Like I mean, so I think there's a lot going on. The States find it very attractive, and of course Wrexham and certainly the documentaries that they do bring in so much more funds, and the Americans have always been better at fundraising than we have, haven't they? They've always been better at marketing, much better at marketing, much better at managing.
Right, saying what they're good at and what they're doing.
Offset the costs of running a football club or the NFL or the ice hockey. It's just amazing, isn't it? You know, so
Natalie, I've had great experience at Preston. I had one chairman, Derek Shaw. And
Derek. He's been my mate, Derek, when I was youth team coach.
Sam, as you know,
Derek was great.
That relationship between 1-to-1 was much, much simpler. But then what I do is I then go to Derby, where there's 6 owners.
Yeah.
And I go from Derby, from there, to Forest, where we find ourselves with a transfer acquisitions committee of 7. And then we go from there to a billionaire owner. So what these investment guys are asking to do is they've asked my management company, Lee Doyle at Superior Sports, he's going to sort out all the administration side.
Yeah.
From the top down to the kind of football level. Mm-hmm. And then what they've asked me to do, Sam, they've asked me to structure the club from the very top of the football right down to the very bottom. Which obviously I've got great experience now. Believe it or not, Sam, what they want to do is they want to become a Wrexham 2. I said to them, Natalie, what is it you want? And they said, we would like to be Wrexham 2.
Isn't that funny for League One club? That's
incredible. But when you look at Netflix and you look at the show, as Sam said, you look at the way they market things and just the way the razzmatazz of this stuff, they're very good at it. But what they do know is they've got to get the right structures in place to make the club a success.
So is your eyes on anybody? Because obviously I'm sure there's fans of clubs whose ears have immediately pricked up because there's some clubs really struggling.
Is it looking at clubs in to get from the lower divisions to the Premier League?
Yes.
It's not looking at a Premier League club now. It's looking at maybe somebody with the potential to go as high as that, like you mean. The trouble is how far can you take Wrexham, innit? That's their problem eventually.
Without a doubt, yeah.
Because this year, if they get up, it's 3 promotions on the trot. Yeah. Who else will get 3 promotions on the trot if they go up this year with them?
Stockport County?
Correct. Well done, Natalie.
I think the most important thing, Natalie, is that for them, we've had discussions with a Premier League club. And we're currently in discussions with a number of other clubs in England and in Scotland. Now, the most important thing is, at the minute, because we've signed the NDAs, and we can't really, I'd love to get into detail with you and tell you a lot more. Yeah. But all I can say to you is it's very exciting. There's great energy and appetite to make this work and to go into these clubs and make them good clubs, make them clubs that work the right way. Otherwise, to be honest, Sam, I wouldn't be interested unless they're getting in there and they've got the fans at heart, they've got the culture of the club at heart, they've got the history of the club at heart, and they want the club to be successful. Then that's the type of project I'd love to join.
I think it's wonderful that you're involved with that, Billy, because I think the key thing in these when owners take over is that they're aware of the history of the club and what the club means to a community of 100%. This country. And I think that the Ryan Reynolds and the other guy whose name always gets forgotten did that so well with Wrexham and embedded themselves into the community. And I also really hope you're looking at Reading, because that is a club that deserves to get taken over, and they are doing phenomenal football-wise.
Well, I was very fortunate to play against a very good Reading side in Brian McDermott.
I was there as well.
And a very good side. Brian done a wonderful job at Reading. They were a great club to play against, fantastic stadia, a really, really difficult club to beat. That year they got something like the most points in the league, 80-odd points, I think it was, if I remember, maybe early 90s, something like that. But they were a great club, Natalie, and they deserve to be back.
You know, when they went up to the Premier League, Reading the about.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that was they pipped us to win the league, didn't they? Southampton, second and we were third at West Ham. So that was 2011.
Mm.
Because we battled out at the back end of the season. We only lost 8 games and we didn't get up by it. I mean, we got, I think it was 89 points or 90 points and finished third. So Brian went on a great run at the end, like, I mean, to get up, like, and Southampton was second and we ended up in the playoffs, like, I mean, so.
Rob McElhaney. Just come to me.
Right.
He's just called in here. He's just called in complaining you don't remember his name.
It's really. Also, Billy, do you know what? The amount of Blackburn fans we have that listen to this podcast, because we are a, partly Blackburn podcast these days, I'll have to say as well, they'll hope that you're looking at Blackburn because they would.
Well, listen,
would
we're
love the
looking at
owners.
clubs with appetite that want to do the right things, and I think that's important. And that's my message to these investors. It's important that you want to do the right things for the people, for the culture, and also for the history of the club. So just adding to that, Natalie, can I say that one of the things I always feel walking into a football club is putting yourself in other people's shoes. Because the kit man, the bus driver, the tea lady, the ground staff, these people contribute great things to the success of a football club. And you can sit there and you can cost cut all over the place and take out that person, take out that. But see, at the end of the day, these people make the club.
Absolutely.
And they bring the atmosphere of the club in. And I always feel that when you walk in, I always say to the staff and the players, think about the kit man's job. Think how difficult his job is and think what he contributes to the club and has done for years. So I think not just the coaching, as Sam says, not just the coaching and your training sessions. I think there's a peripheral importance that you need to look at as well, which is all these other people that actually make the heartbeat of the club.
That's man management, Natalie.
Yeah.
That's not head coach. That's
Big
difference in the job description.
Difference between a manager.
So our
and a
job
head coach.
description is not manager anymore. Our job description is head coach. It doesn't stop us doing what we used to do. You can give me a head coach if you like, but I'll be the manager.
Yeah.
I won't be the head coach. I'll be the manager because those people are so you've got those people on board. You're getting there to be successful. Like, I mean, you ignore those people and you don't even say, "How's things? What can I do? What can I get you a new tumble dryer?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it keeps breaking down, like, I mean, what's going on?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They're there sweating away, and you just get them something that makes the life a bit easier.
Couldn't agree more. When you hear about struggling football clubs and players not getting paid, people not getting paid, my heart always immediately goes to the people who's with the normal jobs, whose livelihoods are dependent on that football club. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
A football club that seems to be gelling in all areas at the minute, of course, is Newcastle.
Absolutely.
While you've been away, Sam, they've won the League
Yeah, I
Cup.
saw that. Yeah, it was very good.
And then I saw the celebrations, which I thought were wonderful. I loved it. I loved seeing the League Cup be respected. I loved the celebrations. I loved the emotion. I loved the stories about the families celebrating together. Some right old party poopers have been saying they over-celebrated it. What do you think?
I've been to one cup final and lost it when I was manager against Middlesbrough when I was at Bolton. Like, I mean, it took me about 3 months to get over it because I didn't know whether I was going to get there ever again. I haven't. So, yes, it's one thing when you're a regular like Man City or Man United or Liverpool or maybe Arsenal. But it's another thing when you haven't been there for years and years and years and won it. They've been there 3 years ago, was it? 4 years ago. This time they came up with the goods and deserved to win it. What I saw, like, I mean,
I think the great thing you said there's respect for the club.
Oh,
Because let's be honest with you, how can you blame this club? What we actually seen in this celebration was the size of this football club.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You see the fans, you see the way they've turned out, you see the celebrations. You go and celebrate this the first time in God knows how many years that they've won this trophy. So, well played, Newcastle. You've shown the world what you are, and it's a club, as Sam said, it's a club that's making great strides, and well done to the manager and well done to the staff and everyone involved. Fantastic achievement.
Couldn't agree more. We're buzzing for you.
Buzzing,
right. I want to go back, though, to the start of your career now, Billy, to take a little bit of a left turn. Your first job in England was at Preston. Huge success. You took them back-to-back playoff campaigns in the Championship, which is something we pretty much only dream of these days now that they sit between, 10th and 15th every year.
Just got to ask this question, right, mate? Because I went and won when Moyes was manager. How many times did Preston get in the playoffs in those years? Because Moyes came and went, then you came in, And you got there twice, was it? Yeah.
Got there twice, yeah.
Who else got there?
Alan Urban, maybe.
Alan, yeah.
I'm not sure if Paul Simpson got there.
Simo got there, I think, as well.
Paul
yeah.
Simo got there, yeah.
So it's like Preston, like got to this. I mean, it was 2001, 2 when we got up, and Moisey got. And then after that, Preston seemed to get in these playoff finals, and then it's a bit like Derby, but I think Preston were in more.
Well,
like,
we're going to go on to Derby in just a second.
I mean, so it's a great shame that they didn't quite ever get the chance, that break at whatever period of time.
Absolutely.
To get up there.
And it's a great club, as you know. It's a fantastic club, steeped in obviously the history of Sir Tom Finney and all these other great memories going by. So it was a great time. But once again, Natalie, it's not just the manager and the coaching staff. This was a huge team effort to get there, from the very top of the board all the way down to the people that work on the grounds and so on. So great achievement, great memories, wonderful times, wonderful support. And I hope they get there one day.
Have you ever been close to going back?
Believe it or not, I spoke to Peter Risdale in 2017, I think it was. They were in League One at the time.
Okay.
And I went and met Peter at his house. Had a great chat with Peter at that point. Thought long and hard about it. But I'd just come out from the Championship with, I think, Forest. And I said to Peter, look, Peter, only because you're in League One am I not coming back. But it was nice to have that offer.
Yeah.
It was nice to have that offer. I just felt on a career move, it probably wasn't the right time. And I sat tight and unfortunately didn't join, but certainly had a very good conversation.
Now let's jump to Derby, like you say, mentioned there, because obviously you were at Derby, you won promotion with Derby through the playoffs. It was your first season. When you went, they said it was going to be a 3-year project, but of course you went up in the playoffs in your first season. Now, before we talk about what happened after that, wow, that was an incredible achievement in your first season.
The critics were absolutely right. I played into my own downfall, getting there too early.
Yeah.
The critics are absolutely right.
Did too good too soon.
11 months. It was just stupidity. I often talk to myself and say, why did you do that? Why did you even go there? But again, Natalie, take over this great club, and there's a 3-year plan, and year 1 is top 10 and mid-table, year 2 is top 10, year 3 is promotion. You go in there and you start to do your thing, as Sam will tell you, and you galvanise the club and the people, and you build up the confidence, you go on a good run, and then you think to yourself, we can maybe do this here. And you take what you get in this game. If I had my time again, honestly, mid-table, top 10.
I wouldn't have been so good if I went back.
The critics were absolutely but I've got to say, it was the playoff semis against Southampton, a very good Southampton at that point, was very memorable. And of course, sneaking over that line was important, that celebration. And then going to Wembley and facing a very good West Brom team, led by Tony Mowbray. Very good side. Again, a side riddled with quality players, Sam. And the minute you do that, Natalie, you just say to yourself, okay, here we go. Unfortunately, and I've said this previously, I was a little bit unfortunate because the club had invested, 6 owners had invested, I think, around about £1 million. And then eventually when they won promotion, I think it was circa 38, 40 million they all went away with. So I was slightly unfortunate. It became a selling club.
I mean, they sold the club.
They sold the club.
Yeah.
So they decided that because we got that promotion so quick, and because of that investment has obviously become a remarkable return, they obviously decided, Natalie, that they were going to be an outgoing board, a selling club. And I obviously had heard before the playoff semis that there's a new investor coming in. He was bringing in his own manager, and it was just a matter of time, unfortunately. So, I was unfortunate that we just faced that situation, because it would have been good to go into the Premier League and properly compete. That would have been ideal.
Because of course you got into the Premier League.
Why did you become such a bad manager in the space of just a few months when you won promotion? Why does everybody think you've got to be sacked? Like, why did the press start? And it baffles me, and still does, football, about the fact that you know, it's why you should never be loyal. You only should be loyal to yourself and your family. Because loyalty works in two ways, and it never works in your favour when you need a bit of backing and it's not going as well as you might think it is. And if it's your fault, you have to accept it. If it's your fault, if you've spent the money they've given you and you bought the wrong players and the results are going bad, then it's fine. If it's not, if you haven't got the money and you can't find the players and you can't get what you need to know, you'll know what you need and you know what you need to get to stay up and then to build from there. But you're the hero and then the villain in the space of 4 or 5 months. I just can't get my head around what happens. Like you mean, but I mean it continues to do so. But I mean, staying in the Premier League now has become more difficult than ever before because it looks like this year again, the 3 teams that have come up are going to be the ones that are going to exit the Premier League. And I
think the other thing as well, Natalie, is when you get promotion via the playoff, there's so much happens from when you win. Open top buses around the city, going and meeting the mayors, and you then get involved in a very short first transfer window.
Yeah,
that's true.
And of course,
because that'd be the end of May, wouldn't it?
That's the end of May.
Yeah.
Was it 31st of May? And all of a sudden, I said at the time that the second transfer window I felt was very important because the first window we had very limited, really time to go and do what we needed to do. Although we'd pre-planned, what if we stay in the Championship? What if we get to the Premier League? But I think what's important is it's important that when you get to that situation, then of course I knew that we had only spent just over 10 million quid in the Premier League. Obviously, I knew before playoffs that there was a change of manager and a change of order taking place. So it's just a matter of sitting back and waiting for that public perception to kick in. And of course, you're getting stuffed. You know you're getting stuffed every week. You know you're 2 years too early. And then what you try and do is you try and do the best you can. But I think what you need, Natalie, Sam, is you need a Mr. Maranakis at Nottingham Forest.
Quickly before we move on to Nottingham Forest, your time there as well. Just obviously want to say with the season that you had, well, the 14 games you had with Derby in the Premier League, obviously it was 6 points from the 14 games before you left, and they only picked up another 5 points for the rest of the season. When you left, you sort of mentioned there a minute ago, you had an idea that somebody was already lined up. Did that taint those 14 games for you? Like, how difficult were those 14 games?
They were very difficult. I mean, before you even kick a ball, Natalie, you know that the writing's on the wall and you're trying to do the right things. And I always said that even before the playoffs, I had the call. But I pulled the staff in, Sam, and I pulled the players and I said, look, we have to make this work. Even though the critics were going to be right, that we were plotting our own downfall here after 11 months getting Derby promoted. But you have to do the right things, and we've done the right things. And then what you do is you go into the Premier League as best equipped as you can and try and do the best job you can. But you know fine well, if you're that season, Tottenham Hotspur, on top of that wonderful Premier League squad that they had, Sam, spent excess 50 million. We were just newly promoted 2 years too early, spending just over 10. I don't think you need to be a special, type of character to understand what's going to happen. So I think you go in and you do the best you can. You know what's going to happen. It's unfortunate that that's the situation of the outgoing board and the selling club. And it was disappointing.
So then you crossed the divide and you went to Derby's big rivals, Nottingham Forest. Did you worry when you went there about the rivalry?
Well, I knew all about the hatred between these two clubs.
You said it.
Natalie,
it happens everywhere, Natalie.
Natalie, the hatred.
Well, you know as well, Sunderland, Newcastle,
Natalie, let me tell you, I live in Glasgow, and I can tell you about hatred between Rangers and Celtic. But the Nottingham Forest and Derby situation is really, really deep-rooted in relation to how important the game is, the fans and how they face the defeat or the win, etc. So I've got to say that I met Nigel Doughty in London, had a wonderful conversation with Nigel. Having spoken to Nigel made it clear that he wanted me to get this team out of the division. So, when I met Nigel, I must admit I was excited about the challenge. I certainly knew that this would not be calm waters. I knew that, Natalie, that I was stepping into somewhere that was going to be, I think it is 14 miles apart, just left Derby County. So, no, great club, wonderful fan base, tremendous challenge, youngest squad in the championship, sitting in the bottom 4. And I just felt that this is a great challenge, a great project, as I talked about, to go in there. They had good players. They were a little bit young and just lacked a little bit of that knowledge and wise head that you need. But great times, great people, great memories. And I thoroughly enjoyed my time, Sam, very much so.
Well,
And you got them into the playoffs as well. There's a thing going on here, Billy. You got them into the playoffs and you played Blackpool. Can you tell us this story about what happened with Blackpool and what you said and what happened?
Who was the manager of Blackpool then?
Ian Holloway.
Oh, been on here. Got another job after.
I had Ian Holloway when I was playoff final at West Ham.
Really?
Yeah, Mad Ian, yeah.
We love him. He's been on twice.
Really, yeah.
So, obviously, because there's a lady sitting here, I'm not going to tell you what happens in the tunnel.
Okay.
Walking into the dressing rooms. Because there's a lot of things happen, Natalie. There's a lot of things said, and there's a lot of banter and coming from both ends. And when you've got a very shy and quiet Ian Holloway character, then you know it's not going to be really that quiet. But lots and lots of things were said. I think the most important thing I can tell you is that before the Leeds United, just after the Leeds United first leg at Ellen Road, I came into the press and I said that in relation to the first leg of the playoffs, getting a 1-1 draw at Ellen Road, I feel it's job done. But we all know this tie's far from over.
Yeah.
We all know the second leg can throw up anything. I was a very experienced manager. I knew that these two games, you could, whether you win the first or not, anything can happen. So the job done thing, Natalie, was twisted.
Blew it out of proportion.
They cut the job done thing.
All the rest job, yeah.
Absolutely.
Like they do, yeah.
This manager's not going to go and make a statement that I feel it's job done after the first leg of the playoffs. But to be fair, and I admire it, the Leeds press and the Leeds people played games and tricks to try and get that extra edge.
Absolutely.
Well played, Leeds United. So the disappointing thing is that Gary Taylor-Fletcher at Blackpool had said that I was running down the tunnel shouting job done after the Blackpool leg. Now, unfortunately, whoever was whispering in his ear got the games mixed up because the job done thing was from Leeds United, not from Blackpool.
Yeah.
But somebody obviously gave him the wrong information or whatever. Why Taylor-Fletcher come out and done what he done? I don't know.
Just to try and get quotes out of him, yeah.
No, nonsense.
Yeah.
Somebody's
They must have had enough to write about.
Absolutely.
So make something up, yeah.
So that's the story with the job done at Leeds United and how they cut it, beautifully played. And then, of course, the Blackpool thing with the job done, absolute nonsense. I hope that explains it.
Really,
but as far as the tunnel,
I like it.
As far as the tunnel goes and the dressing rooms go, when I'm facing that Allardyce in that tunnel, or walking up that tunnel, he's saying to me and I'm pushing him. And see, after it, we kiss and cuddle, we make up.
That's the key.
Come in for a drink.
Come in for a drink.
Come in for a drink. Yeah.
Yes,
Come in for a drink.
Talking about coming in for a drink, when you were appointed by the previous owner, Fawaz Al-Hassawi,
yes.
He said that you were the equivalent of Sir Alex Ferguson coming in for a drink and said that you'd get them Champions League football. 12 years later on, they've got a new owner, of course, and they're in the Champions League spots now. What can you tell us about that sort of time? And
well, I think that the man came in with great intention. Although he's certainly different from Mr. Marinakis, who's a vastly experienced football owner.
Yes.
This man was obviously Mr. Hassawi was coming over to British football, and he had spent an absolute fortune before I came into the club, Natalie. And he really was good intention to try and do well for the club. And I remember speaking to him in London, and he said to me, I would like the third star. And I said to him, say that again. He said, I would like the third star. I said, you mean the European Cup? He went, yeah. I said, do you understand what it takes to get the third star? So
How many billions have you got?
how many billions have you got?
not
no, I've
not
got
millions.
To say, I've got to say, Natalie, he certainly was very, very hungry to try and do the right things. He lacked a little bit of experience, I think, at times. He did, and I don't know if we're going to go into the sacking, but, you know, eventually he takes me out of the club. And then 13, 14 months later, he comes back, gives me a call. Would you come down to London, Sam? I go down to London. We sit and have a chat. After 15, 20 minutes, I say to him, Fawaz, why am I here? He says, Billy, you're here because I've listened to the wrong people. I want you to come back to Forest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then a year later, that was in 2015, he sacked me in 14. 2015, he offers me my job back. 2017, he calls me again and says to me, please, please, please come back.
So did you turn it down the second time?
Well, there was a long-standing dispute and things that needed to be sorted.
Did they get sorted in your way or not? Was the LMA involved in that?
Sam, I've got to say, the LMA and the FA, in my view, were, let's just say that I didn't think I got the support
Really?
that was necessary. I don't
What year
think
was that again?
that was 2014.
Oh, very
I don't
disappointing.
think, looking back on it, I don't think that the LMA and the FA gave me, I wanted them to put an arm around me and protect me.
Yeah.
Put an arm around me and give me the support. Unfortunately, I don't think neither the two of them had put their arm around. And what I would say to you, Natalie, is I would say that I think that out of work managers deserve just as much support as in work managers.
Sometimes more.
Sometimes more.
Yeah.
So it was very disappointing. And unfortunately, I never got that support and I never got that arm around the shoulder.
Because I'm on the LMA committee, that's why I asked you.
Yes.
I've never heard that story, that you were not supported well enough or not, because everywhere else, wherever I've been, whatever manager I've talked to, when they've been sacked, I said, did you speak to, yeah, I spoke to LMA, they did really well for me. We got paid, we got paid out, no problem in the end. In the end, just a lot of difficulties that the LMA dealt with brilliantly. So I'm very one disappointed to hear that, because I haven't heard it anywhere else. But
What I would like to do is at some point I'll sit down with you, Sam, and we can go through the processes and the steps. But I can assure you, extremely, extremely disappointed. And I have said in the past in podcasts, I've said that you know, in addition, I had been badly advised by people that should have known better.
I'm very surprised.
And those people, Natalie, from the LMA and the FA should know better. But anyway, that's another story for another day.
For when we get you back after your next job.
Hope so.
Right. Bring it on to some topical football bits and bobs that are going on. You might not have seen it because you were away, but Leeds United, oh gosh, I'm worried for them again, Sam.
Why?
Well, they just look like they're stuttering at the top of the league again.
Nerves.
Did you see? So Saturday, they scored in the first minute to take the lead against Swansea, and then they conceded in the last minute to make it 2-2, and Meslier made two mistakes
Leave it out.
again. We found a lovely link though here, Billy. You worked with Carl Darlow at Forest. Carl Darlow is currently the substitute goalkeeper with Leeds. Who knows, if he's going to get brought in, he might get brought in. You dropped Meslier when you were in charge of Leeds. Given his mistakes, would you take him out?
Well, I dropped him. I never give him a game.
Really?
Yeah, I dropped him straight away.
Why?
Well, I'd watched the previous games. The previous two games, and I'd speak to quite a few people who'd been at Leeds, watching him quite a lot. And the first thing they said, he's a great goalkeeper, but he's having a bit of a crisis at the moment. And we all know that the two most important people are your goal scorer and your goalkeeper. So he went out to the team straight away. He didn't take it well. Not that it really particularly bothers me when you go in as a manager, because you have to make these decisions, like me, and a bit of sulking and so on and so forth. But it had to be done based on he looked like when he looked into the Meslier, then he looks like it was harming him. Looks like it was gonna make him worse, leaving him in, even though he's going to be disappointed left out because he got quite a big reputation by then. And I have no complaints about Joel, who went in on the 4 games he had. He was, he'd been sat there that long thinking, how many mistakes is this lad going to get before I get a chance? I think it was one of them. And I went, right, here you go. You're in. What? Now don't let me down. That's it. And I can't honestly say, looking back over that, there was a lot of anything that faulted him in terms of the goals that was let in. So, but it needs to be done. It's an hard decision as well at goalkeepers. And what you worry about is when they've been sat on the bench that long without playing, they can't be as good as they are. It's impossible. No matter how many training he does, he just can't be as good as he would by getting a number of games together. And of course, he's experienced. He's, about 33, I think he was. Been at Everton and places like that. You know what I mean? I think that it's just a decision you have to make, and then you hope you've made the right decision. But it wasn't a difficult decision based on his errors that he'd made previously. So
2 things about the goalkeeper, the Leeds United goalkeeper. I watched the game at the weekend. I'm not sure you can blame the lad for the second.
Okay,
Because
I've not heard anyone say that, Billy.
I think the pace of the ball, I think, just might have been too much for this lad to get to. And certainly the first one I agree with, but the second one, I looked at the angle and the pace of the ball, and I often argue with my own goalkeeping coach about this. And every time he put up a defence, he would always say to me, "Oh, Gaffer,
you mean like they do, like they do,
the goalkeeper union, Natalie. Oh, Gaffer, it's not the goalie's fault.
No, it's not the goalie's fault. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I think the second goal, I think he's got a little bit of defence. I feel that there may be an argument, a case for the pace of the ball beat the lad.
But everybody will be looking out for it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody will be
Absolutely.
looking out for it, like this and that and the other. Like he's got a long hard journey coming back to be what everybody knows he is, because everybody will be looking and waiting, and we see it with outfield players. Once they jump on it, they can
Totally.
The lad's confidence can be destroyed, especially as a goalkeeper, can be destroyed in an instance.
Well, the top of the championship remains looking very, very interesting.
Very tight.
Very, very tight.
Yeah.
2
out of 3, would you say?
Going
up, straight up.
Oh yeah, it's
2 out of 3.
It's Burnley, Sheffield United, or Leeds.
United?
Yeah. But who knows? Because Burnley have still got to play Sheffield United, and obviously it's very tight, so it could be any of the 2 of them. Other things that are going on, obviously, in the world of football, Tottenham continue to be Tottenham while you've been away, Sam. There is this kind of narrative in the media now, Billy, that that Ange's time is up. Do you think that Spurs need a change?
It's a very difficult one for me, Natalie. Obviously, as a manager, I just have to tread carefully here.
Of course.
Because I'd never ask for any manager or advocate that any manager loses his job. We are in a results-driven business sometimes. If it's a results-driven business, then you have to be judged on your results and your performances. And the one defence that Ange has got, obviously, is that they do have, or did have, a whole range of injuries.
Yeah, but when we were talking about Espirito Santos at Forest, it's your responsibility to stop that, because you're the manager. and if at the football club the structure of the football club doesn't give you that responsibility, you really shouldn't take that job.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, Sam. It's a very interesting point.
Because I want to be, I don't just want to be the coach again while coaching. I want to be knowing what the rehab is. I want to be knowing what the prevention policy is. I want to know why are we not dragging these boys in? Yeah, and in the times when because everybody wants to come when everybody else is there, and then everybody wants to go when everybody's gone. and injuries and things like that need to still be there early in the morning, and they still need to be there in the afternoon.
Great point, Sam.
And if need be, and this is where, how many physios you got? 7. 6. Right, so have you got the shifts going? And they go, what do you mean? I said, well, you don't want to all be here at say, 8 o'clock and then all gone at 3. You could be here to do them. And then these 4 can come in and do 3 o'clock till 6 and 7. And they go, oh, we can't do that. Why can't you do it? Because how come that your 2 injury sessions of physio or whatever it is, or rehab, happen at the time when everybody else is here?
Yeah.
This is proper
What's
management.
going on?
Yeah.
This is proper management
what is
from the
happening?
top.
I
That's what
don't
that is.
care.
Yeah.
I don't care how unpopular I'm going to be. I want those players fit.
See, what this isn't, Natalie, this is not micromanaging. That's what you call, as Alex Ferguson would tell you, control at a club where you're working with all the other departments, but you've got this controller that's making everything gel together, which obviously brings success to the club. So it's not you're looking or want to micromanage. That's not what this is about. It's about making sure that the standard is set and people know what the parameters are and what the levels are, and that's how you get success.
Absolutely. We're going to finish the podcast, Billy, on a section that we're bringing back. It's a fan favourite, Sam. They've demanded it comes back.
Oh, please
it's
don't
called,
like that.
Is it
it's
true?
the first time I've heard about a fan's favourite. Why have you not told me before?
Your fan's favourite.
I'm the first I've heard of this, by the way.
Trips to Dubai is a fan's favourite.
When we're going again.
It's called Is It True?
We should do a podcast when I'm in Dubai, by the way.
I know, we
I
should.
keep telling
I've said
you.
it.
Yeah.
We
I'm looking over there.
We need somebody with lots of money in Dubai to facilitate
We get a good audience, you know.
In Dubai?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, we get a good audience.
We'll check that out. There you go, Billy.
I
Might be a
reckon we
job
could-
over there for
I
you.
reckon if...
Listen, I know a boss man of used to that I could have a quiet word in his ear for you. I think I could influence him if you want me to.
Yeah.
Be
Is that
great,
okay?
yeah.
Thanks, Billy. We'll get you do that for us and we'll get you a job. Right, I've got 4 things. Is it true? Things that we've heard and we'd like to know if it's true right from the horse's mouth. So, West Ham were interested in you as an option to replace Sam in 2014. True or false?
Absolute nonsense.
Ah!
No contact at all from West Ham. Some journalist wrote a story about I was replacing Sam Allardyce. It's absolute nonsense. Never happened, and there was no contact. And this man was doing a good enough job at the time to stay where he was.
Well, you know, we've talked about this before. Like, I mean, we got this. It happened to Moisey. It's the same. You know, you do well, and they don't offer you a new contract. They have these sort of weirdy things that it would make you more determined to continue to do well. Like, you mean, so because I spoke to Moisey about this. Like, you mean, because everybody was going, look at what Moisey did for West Ham, and we were fourth in the league in my last season, and didn't have enough players to sustain it. And like I was saying before, you tell the board we need some players. Well, we're fourth in the league. And I got the backlash of going from fourth in the league to dropping down the table, where the West Ham fans who are can be quite volatile against you. So because I'd gone there too early, a bit like we were saying before,
Yeah.
you know, you got Derby up in here. I went like that,
Yes.
and I knew I wasn't going to sustain it because we didn't sign any players. Everybody was asking me about a new contract, so all the players think, well, he's not getting a new contract. So in the end, I decided, contrary to what was let out in the press, and I've said this before, I decided I just rang up David and thanked him very much for my time, and I'll be moving on. I don't want a new contract. And of course, Karen Brady decided to put out Newcastle away in the last game that they weren't offering him a new contract. I didn't make a fuss about it. I just let it go then. But those are the facts. Those are the facts. What I mean. So, but they have to think about a new manager. But they weren't too sure about whether I was leaving or not, or whether they were going to leave. They were not going to renew my contract. But because the press were always on, like they were with Moisey, there was when you get a new contract, you're fourth in the league. Why are you not getting a new contract? What's up, like, man? And then the players are going, why are you not getting a new contract? Like, Mark Noble's going, what's wrong? What's going on, Gaffer? Kevin Nolan, what's going on, Gaffer? What's going on? And I go, they don't want to give me a new contract. They won't offer me one.
I actually thought about phoning this guy, Natalie. Do you know that?
Really?
I remember at the time I was going to pick up the phone to Sam and say, Sam, look, I can only apologise.
Yeah.
I don't know where this has came from. I certainly have not had any contact.
Yeah.
And I can only apologise for now the spotlight and pressure that's been put on you that should not be coming onto you. And I thought about it and I thought, I don't want Sam to take this the wrong way, I don't want him to think that. And I decided I'll just leave it, but I actually thought about giving him a call because it certainly was absolute nonsense and there was no chance of that ever happening.
So it was not true. This is why we brought it. This is why it's a fan favourite.
It was another one as well when you were under the cosh. He's one they used to tell you about an out-of-work manager sat in the director's box watching you.
Oh, yeah.
And you used to go, oh, God, no, good luck to him then he gets the job, So not that it happened very often to me, by the way, but,
yeah.
We all know about it, didn't we? So the art of managing, that's how barefaced they are, some of them. They'll go anywhere to get a job, so they'll go to them to put the face in, let them know you're not working, he's having a bad time. And you sit. I always have a director's box list, and who's coming. You know what I mean? Yeah, always.
Knows everything.
And I don't think it's me personally. I try and avoid going to any game where the manager's under scrutiny. Yeah. Even though it's a very good game to go and watch, and you're there for the right reason. I've got to say, Natalie, I do consider.
Yeah.
Is this appropriate for me to go to this game under the circumstances? Because you really you don't want to put any more spotlight on a very difficult job.
Yeah.
Just don't get in a bad position then, you're all right.
Right, 3 more is it trues. The Nottingham Forest owner tried to pick the team while you were manager.
Yeah, we played at Burnley. I'll tell you what happened. On the Friday, I pulled Simon Cox and Darius Henderson. And I said to the two of them, look, we're going to play 4-4-2 tomorrow. You used to get up top and go and ruffle them about and do what you do. And we'll get at them, so and so on. So the Friday night, I travelled to the hotel, the team hotel. And at 9:30, 10 o'clock, I get a call from the owner. And the usual conversation, hello, Mr. Manager, how are you? What's your team tomorrow? So I tells him the team and I say, here's what we're doing. And he says to me, well, there's 2 players that I would prefer you to play in the team. I said to him, I said, look, Mr. Chairman, I respect this is your club, it's your ball. I understand. If that's what you want to do, then I will make that change. I'm advising you as the manager. I think you're making the wrong mistake. I have to change the formation because of the players that you want to play are more counter-attack away from home. Don't match runs. Don't tuck in. Don't chase back. I don't think it's the right thing, but I respect you as the owner. Saturday morning, Natalie, I've got 6'9" Darius Henderson. I've got Simon Cox. I pulled the 2 of them in just before the walk, 11 o'clock. I said, listen, guys, I'm really sorry, but unfortunately, I can't play you today. And Henderson said to me, what are you talking about, Gaffer? My family's coming from London. They're already on their way here. And Coxie says to me, Gaffer, mine's just coming. I think it was Reading. Mine's just coming from Reading. I says, look, guys, I can only apologise, but I have been instructed that this is what's going to happen. Long story short, I make the changes. I change the formation. We go out against Burnley. 35 minutes gone. Burnley 3, Forest 0.
And that's your fault now.
Now the Forest fans are now singing Billy, sort it out. And I'm absolutely raging. I'm walking along to the tunnel at Burnley and I'm looking at the Forest fans, 5,000-6,000, and I'm absolutely...
So I don't walk over the pitch.
Right over the pitch.
Away. Oh, God, yeah.
I don't blame them, Natalie, because they don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we go. I make the changes at half-time. I bring on the 2 guys. I get into the formation that we do. And we win the second half 1-0, but we lose the game 3-1. I'm now driving back up the road and I get a call from the chairman. And the chairman said to me, Billy, just forget that result. I will take that 3 points, just forget it. And lo and behold, 3 weeks later, I get sacked for performance. So,
Really?
that's what happened. Yes, that's what happened.
There's only one thing to protect you from that. Like this is, I think Alan Kirby should have this in his contract at West Ham. He's solely responsible in his contract.
There's not many things that shock me, Billy, anymore.
Difficult, very difficult sit because at the end of the day, you know, this.
It's their club, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why it's very important, Natalie, that
It's their club.
the structures of the club, if they're right, then you get the rewards. I feel that the rewards will come along, but when there's all this nonsense going on, then I think there's only one outcome.
I only used to get, why did you put those subs on? Why this, why that? Like, you mean, it didn't matter where I was, I used to get a call for. This was Derek Pavis at Notts County, like, you mean. And I found out basically why he was saying it, because it was costing him money. Like, so if you put them on, they got appearance money, and then add on to the bonus of it, like, you mean. You know, so we a few games have gone by, like, you mean, where we'd won again, like, you mean, and why did you put that player on? Like, well, you know, we either defending our lead or we got us back in the game, and we ended up winning. Like, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Why? Sometimes I could understand it. Why you put on, you change the team, and it went worse with the subs, and you've lost. So it was all about the money. So I used to say to the lads, because I hadn't seen all the contracts then. Like, I mean, they said, I said, how much you on? Appearance money. Oh, that must get this one. So a few weeks went by after I got peed off with this, and I went to the lads when we were 3-0 up or something like that. Who's on appearance money? Me. I said, oh, come on then, let's get you on. I said, whatever you do, don't let the owner know. Whatever you do, don't let him know. Just for, and the lads would laugh, like, you mean, and the lads would go on. So I mean, it made it a bit more close, a bit tighter. Like, Gaffer's looking after us.
Got our backs.
You know what I mean? Gaffer's looking after me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All that sort of stuff. But you were like, he really did wind me up, like, you mean. A phone call. Mostly when it was away from home, and sometimes you didn't travel for whatever reason, or I'm driving home. What have you put? And I go, all right, okay. So we did win the league that year as well, though. So I could get away with it.
That always helps.
Right.
Always helps, you know what I mean?
Questions left for you, Billy, and for all those Rangers fans that have been patiently waiting, they are 2 Rangers questions. Is it true that someone from Rangers spoke to you about the job, but that you never had an interview?
Yeah, my management company, Lee Doyle at the Superior Sports, got a call from John Gilligan, the director at Rangers, in 2017. He informed.
He's got a hell of a memory, isn't he?
Incredible.
Yeah,
What a memory he's
he
got.
informed the management company that I was in the running for the Rangers job. The club would like to do an interview, and the chief exec, Stuart Robertson, would call me the following, or call the management company the following morning. The following morning came, and unfortunately, I never got that call, but we did have contact from the board member, and we were told that we would have an interview, but it never happened.
Who got the job?
Sorry?
Who got the job?
Pedro Quixina, Portuguese manager.
I knew. I was waiting for Sam's reaction to that.
Pedro Quixina.
Okay. Well, my follow-up question for you then, my last question of the podcast today, Billy. Rangers may be looking for a new manager this summer. Is that a job that you'd like?
Of course it is.
Natalie, I'm going to give you one better, Natalie.
Okay.
I'm going to give you one better. I'm going to tell you that the best management team, in my opinion, for Rangers is Sam Allardyce, manager, and Billy Davies, assistant.
There you go.
Natalie.
Let's
That is
see
a
if
dream ticket.
they give us a call then.
That's a dream ticket.
That's the dream
believe
ticket.
me.
And then, can we still do the podcast? Can we still do it? You get that in your contract, and I'll come up to Glasgow.
Well, I'll tell you what, if that happens, I'll be there next season.
As long as you let me beat you at golf. That's
That's
important.
okay, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Listen,
for
it's a
coming
pleasure.
to
Thank you
see
very
us.
much.
Yeah, Billy, thanks very much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank
Thanks
you
for
very
coming.
much.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thanks for coming back from Dubai. I did
Well, I'll
wonder.
be here next week now.
Brilliant. He's here definitely at
Looking
least till the
forward
end
to
of the
another
season. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Keep
all
watching.
of you. Keep watching, subscribing,
keep
liking,
following,
doing your
keep
thing.
subscribing, is it? Yeah,
Yes. Yep. All of the things.
All the things we need. Thank you very much.
We'll be back next week with another No Tippy Tappy Football.